wisdom for today's world. My name is Elaine Schmitz. I'm a member of Elgin Garden Club, and many of you may not know that we partner with the library every year for at least one program that we think is not only of interest to Garden Club members, but also to the public at large. So we're really happy to see you. We also want to thank the library staff. This is they do a lot of work to help us with this program, and it's a great location, and we're very thankful for their assistance and help. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome the Konishi and Big Timber dancers. A little background on these folks. Can you raise your hand if you're part of that pageant? We have a nice group here today. Raise your hand, folks. Right over here. This group participated in an Elgin citywide pageant that some of you Elginites may remember. It was called the Song of Hiawatha, based on the Henry Wadsworth Longfellow poem. It was directed by Carl Pawlowski until his death in 1979. And they brought a lot of interesting items that many of these folks have collected over the years, and we welcome you to take a peek at them. I think they're very precious to these folks. And they're here, I understand, to just show support and respect for our program today. And so now I'd like to turn this over to my colleague, Jean Hunt, who's going to give us a little bit more information about today's program. Jean?
Let us bring our minds together. It is the first peoples who, for thousands of years, cared for and protected these lands. Let us not forget the struggles and tragedies they endured. Let us be inspired by their deep connection to the land and their contributions to our shared story of America. They were the first friends of the Fox River. They knew all the relationships with nature were reciprocal, and that the earth is a sacred, nurturing being. And because of this, the waters of the Fox River were pristine and clean when the Kimball and Giffords families settled here. So today, a great remembering, a return to that circle of sacred relationships. Stories can be medicine, and they're waiting to be heard again. Pull up a chair, listen to the oldest teachings of the earth. Now our minds are one. Grandmother Susan will carry the light. Now here to introduce Grandmother Susan is her dear friend, Kathleen Brigidina. Kathleen is the chair of Elgin Green Groups. She is an earth artist and a water ceremonialist initiated by the Maori elders.
Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all of you. You've taken up all of the chairs. I love it, and even some standing room. I'm so happy to be here today. I love this woman. I love what she stands for, and I love what she's bringing to the communities that I'm involved in and she's involved in all over the world. It's my honor to celebrate my dear friend and way shower, Grandmother Susan Kaiulani Stanton, a Mohawk and Native Hawaiian elder, teacher and wisdom keeper. Born in Honolulu and raised in the lush valleys of Oahu, Susan has dedicated her life to healing, ceremony, and the guidance of many communities. You will hear all about her work shortly, about her work with River Sidon, the Mothers' Voices connected around the world, grandmothers and grandfather voices. She does a gathering of the elders out at her home in Nauvoo that was, I don't know, probably 600 people attended with elders from all over the world, and I was honored to be there. She's doing it again this coming May. I've known her for almost 10 years. She has influenced my life in more ways than I can count, and I hope that is multiplied in each of your hearts. Her truly genuine heart is open and generous to all who know her, including all of the animals. You'll see some pictured here, but she is a true earth mama. All of the animals trust her and come to her when they're lost or needing guidance. This year, Susan walks a new path, carrying the memory and spirit of her beloved husband, Brad Walking Bear Stanton. Together, they shared a journey of service, ceremony, and love for their family and for Earth. Today, as we gather to listen to Susan's teachings, let us open our hearts and let her come in. Let Earth come in. Let their voices come in and fill you with the water that connects us all, right here on the Fox River. And I also want to thank the Elgin Garden Club for giving us this opportunity. And it is an opportunity like no other. It's actually coming into the community to bring change and to reconnect us to each other and to Earth. And I want to thank the Gail Borden Library for hosting such wonderful things and for being such a wonderful place that people call epic. This library is epic. So thank you so much, and my gratitude to all of you. Enjoy the program. Susan, can you please come up? Right here. Okay, before I begin, so this is not the official beginning yet. I want to begin by telling you how my life goes. So I love to hear what Kathleen said, and I feel that she's not talking about me. It must be another woman, but she had my picture up there, so I kept looking at it like that. I wanted to tell you a story very early on when I first began to speak. And any of us who speak, we always had that early on, right? I was asked if I would come and speak to a women's group. And I said, sure, fine. I really like women. I'd love to go. So I showed up. I had the address, I had the topic, and I even had some references. I showed up. They forgot to tell me that it was the convention center in Las Vegas, which is almost 5,000 seats. And fortunately, the first speaker was a little 15, 20-minute lady. The second, huge, the main speaker, keynote. And then there was me, another little short, small, 15-minute person. And I kept sitting there thinking, I can do this, I can do this. So the first one spoke, and I thought, I can do that. That was very nice, that was good, I can do it. Then the second one, the keynote speaker got up and gave my entire talk. Everything, even my references that they had given to me. I couldn't figure that out. What happened? How did that happen? So I'm sitting there looking at this ocean of women, balconies and aisles and seating, and could I think of anything to say? Nothing. So then the moment came, somebody introduced me. I got up and I came to the microphone and looked out, something like I'm looking right now. And I said, I want to thank our keynote speaker for giving my entire talk. Even my references. And I just stood there. And it was dead silent. And then a woman laughed. And then another woman laughed. And pretty soon the whole place, almost 5,000 women, are rolling, because what's the very worst thing that could ever happen? That, right? Wouldn't that be awful? And it was. So I said to them what I'm about to say to you right now. I'm going to step out of my way, and I'm going to turn this over to Spirit, because Spirit knows each one of you far more than I do. Spirit knows exactly what matters to you, where you've been in this lifetime, what you've learned, what your dreams and your purpose is, and we each have that. So when I'm working with the youth, that's the first thing I say to them. Why, of all the times that you could have chosen to come to Earth, why now?
look at how hard this is, all this stuff that's happening. Why would you pick now? And I tell you, and this is the truth, every single youth I have asked looks at me for a minute, and then they tell me. And I said, that's your purpose. From now on, if it's not in alignment with your purpose, get out of it. Because you know who you are, you know why you came, and you know what your purpose is. And they do. So I'm going to share that with each of us. So now today, Spirit is going to speak to each of us through the purpose that we came into this lifetime now to be here. I want to honor the Hiawatha, Song of Hiawatha people. I love what they brought with them. I love what they represent. I want to honor each of you that's here sitting, because each of you has a purpose beyond anything I can dream of and imagine, because your lifetime is that record of why you came, what you've been doing, and what you will continue to do for time and all eternity. So with that, my name is Susan Kaiulani Stanton. I was born in the Ahupua'a of Puna'u on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. I'm also Mohawk from my mother, Jean House, who from the age of 5 to 16 was in the residential school in Brantford, Ontario. It was called the mush hole because the kids ate mush all the time. At 16, her life changed. My daughter, who was married to a man from an airline, was able to find a manifest that showed girls being sent back and forth to Hawaii where they would give birth to babies. And so my parents, I really lucked out. My mother apparently met a really cute Hawaiian beach boy. And I was the one who was born from that, and then I was adopted at birth by my parents who were from the mainland, and they were both college professors at the University of Hawaii. And so where my life could have really been tough, I was blessed to be able to grow up, and since that time, I have always felt that it's my responsibility to take the gifts I was given and share them outward. And so I can tell you that my little house is the only emergency shelter in 840 square miles of Hancock County in Illinois. And we don't turn anybody away. We figure out a way to have a bed for them and a pillow, and they can stay while we try to help them get on their feet, because that's really what it's all about. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna be working with Kathleen, and we're gonna be starting off with the water ceremony. But before we do that, I have asked a wonderful man who I met about 9.5 minutes ago, but my heart connected with him immediately because we are storytellers. I've asked him if he would come up and share with you a story that he shared with me. Craig.
Hopefully you can all hear me. I'm not going to say who it might have been, but I've been part of the Song of Hiawatha, and upon Carl Perlaska's passing, I took over some of the things that he did. But believe me, they were never as good as Mr. Carr. He was the man who brought the idea of the Song of Hiawatha, not the first one, but the second one, to Elgin. It was done about 2 years before we ever did the Song of Hiawatha. And it was done out at Lord's Park by 2 ladies. We brought it to camping for the Boy Scouts. And by we, I came a lot later. It first started out in 1924, and it became very popular with the parents. In 1927, the first public performance for the Song of Hiawatha, which lasted 52 years. And I and a number of my friends, some of which are here today, we have a gentleman who played the part of Hiawatha. Another one, Old Iago, phenomenal. Those two could dance and make it like an opera. They did just a wonderful job. We had the Konashis, and there's a number of those here. But our last performance was in 1979. Unfortunately, it was a long time ago, and many people now living in Elgin don't know the real history and what the pageant was about. I would like to ask you a question right now. How many of you have seen the Song of Hiawatha? I never have. I was on the inside with you. You were a great group. But what I'm here today is to give you a little story. And that story is what I call the gone before ones. And those are the people who have passed from this life to the next. It's a story from the Cherokee. And they believe this is part of their history, part of their lives, part of what they knew was the truth. Or when you get older, and I use that because the hair color that I have is not that G word that you may use. I call it sun fade. I find it much more comfortable. But these Cherokee believed in traveling to their new life after leaving this one, that they would walk a pathway to the hereafter. And that pathway was lined with strawberries, the color of the heart, the sweetness of the smell of the juice, the love. A reminder of the sweetness of life when they were here. And the shape of the strawberry, like the shape of your heart. You're taking that with you, and it's greeting you as you travel. This is what they believed. This is how they looked at whatever you may want to call the existence of this life and the new life and what happens. I prefer the gone before ones because I also believe, like they, that we do not cease, we change. And that is what maybe someday soon I will get to do. But I'm thankful that probably like you, I don't know my expiration date. But now we get back to the real reason we're here. Dear Susan.
This is how spirit works. Nothing ever is random. And so when he came up to me a few minutes ago while I'm setting things out, he started talking to me about the strawberry. Our strongest medicine of the grandmothers is the strawberry. And my favorite thing to do when I'm working with young girls at ceremony, whether it's Sundance or Humblecha, the 4-day fasting ceremonies, when I'm working with the young girls and we're getting ready to make things for the people that have been fasting, the first medicine we do is strawberry. And the way that we do that, this is the Mohawk way that I was taught by Grandmother Sarah Smith up at Six Nations in Ashwaubenon. We gather the strawberries, we have them in a bowl, we wash them, and then as we're washing, we sing to them. We sing. And we have the little girls do this. And they sing, and as they sing, they knead the strawberries with their hands. And as they do, the juice flows gently, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And sometimes we might add a little bit of sugar depending on where we are in the season of the strawberry. But I can promise you that if you do it that way, and then you offer it to someone, you will see that medicine working as it goes down into their body. So thank you for that. That is the grandmother medicine. And so with that, I invite any of you, if you ever want to do that, to feel free and go right ahead. And I'm going to begin by talking about the grandmothers and our responsibilities and our roles, and then I'll weave it in with the other things that we're saying. So I love what you said about the sun fade. That's very important. What do we do with all the other stuff, like the funny little neck and, that type of thing? It shows up out of nowhere. The morning I woke up and realized I have 3 years and then I'll be 80. It was like, and I thought, wait a minute, what am I worried about? 80 is something great. Look at all the stuff I did in all these years. So I'm not there yet. I'm almost to 77, but I want you to know I'm cherishing every day. So what is a grandmother? Who is a grandmother? It's not only about biology. A grandmother is a state of heart, isn't it? Even a little girl who has a little brother who's crying, and she picks him up and holds him and pats him. She's a grandmother, she just doesn't know it yet. I've seen men who are grandmothers too, who have that kind heart and stop what they're doing to just sit and listen to you and let you speak from who the very essence of who you are is. But how do we become a grandmother in the way of the Indigenous eldership? Does it have to do with being tribal? No. It has to do with being human. It has to do with the medicine wheel, with the 4 stages of life. And the first stage is the little child, the second stage is the adolescent, and then the young parent. The third stage, prime of life. The 4th stage, yes! Grandmother, grandfather, that's who we are. That's who we are. So, I have someone in my life who I would like to talk to you about, who carries that type of energy. She's an artist, a phenomenal artist. She's a mom, she's a daughter. She's all of those different things. And she's hovering now at the doorway of the grandmother. And what does that actually mean? To be a grandmother, to become a grandmother, is to understand our role and responsibility to the world. This shawl that I have here, if you can see a little closer up, is the White Buffalo Cow Society. So we all know a White Buffalo Calf woman, right? Beautiful woman. She was just powerful, and she came to the people, gave them all the ceremonies. And then one day she must have become a grandmother, right? Isn't that how that works? So we have the White Buffalo Cow Society. It's a Mandan Sioux hereditary society that is now opening and bringing women in. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. How do we know that we are a grandmother? Does somebody come and tell us? Do they give us a t-shirt? Do they give us the membership card? No. And the first time somebody suggests maybe that you are a grandmother can be terrifying because you hadn't planned on getting old, you know. Surely you're talking about somebody else. I'm not a grandmother. But then we start stepping into it and understanding. So in 2009, when I moved to Nauvoo, Illinois, I moved there in 2008, someone came to me and said, some of our women in the community who have come from big urban areas are experiencing some depression because there's nothing to do in the winter. We get snowed in, we're isolated, there's nowhere to go, there's no movies, there's nothing. He said to me, is there something you can do to help? So I went to a man who had this beautiful 2-story building with a store in the middle, and it was vacant, he wasn't doing anything, it's a seasonal town. He gifted it to me for 6 months for free. He even paid my electricity and phone bill. So I started something called the Nauvoo Women's Guild. And I got all the women together from different backgrounds, and I said, what are we gonna do? So one of the first projects we did, belly dancing. All us old ladies are in there. We get this young woman teaching us all how to belly dance. So then as another sign, we started doing, what was the other one? Sweating to the oldies. Remember that one? Yeah. So we had choices. And then we had a Book of the Month club. And then we had a bookstore. And then we became a drop-off for things that people didn't need anymore, so that people that needed clothes for their children or Christmas presents could come and get them for free. We became all of that. We started doing all those different things. The Nauvoo Women's Guild had 13 women on their board of directors. We never made any money, ever. Story of my life. But after 9 months, over the winter, and Nauvoo has right now less than 1,000 people, we had over 5,000 signatures on our daily logbooks because women rock when they're hanging out with each other. And that's what we did. So then at the end of 9 months, I had a feeling I need to separate myself and take this somewhere else. They continued on without me for a while, and I started something called Grandmother Circle the Earth with my girlfriend Gail Whitlow, who's Mohawk. We started with one gathering out in the Mimbres in New Mexico, where a man named Carlos Provencio stood up at the fire. We had about 30 people there, including the Pachamama Alliance and others. He stood up at the fire and he apologized. It wasn't just women, it was a mixed group. Carlos Provencio, who ran for governor of New Mexico, apologized on behalf of the entire Man Nation to the women there at the fire for the things that had happened in the past to them. It was so powerful. The women started to cry, the men started to cry, everybody there was crying. We put the men in the center of our circle and all the women went around and hugged all the men. It was so beautiful. And from there, Grandmother Circle the Earth started. Excuse me. We started with Hawaii, and then we went on to New Zealand, and then we went to Poland, and we went to South Africa. We went everywhere. We're all over the world. We're in 39 countries in Africa. We're in Mongolia. We're in Beijing. We're in Iraq. We're all over the world. Because you know what we do? We go into communities, and we gather the women together, and we talk about what is a grandmother. We help them create their own councils of responsibility. And then they take it from there. There's no membership, there's no t-shirt, there's no card you have to carry. I was called in at one point to an audit. I was invited to come to an IRS audit in Quincy, Illinois. And the lady said, her name was Vicki, very kind, please bring all your records and your bank statements. My bank account averages about $12. I don't keep any records. Seriously, I don't even know where anything is. How could I keep them? But I went, and my girlfriend was with me, who had been there at that first gathering in the Mimbres, who has a true photographic memory. She said, I'm gonna go with you, we can do this. So we got there, and this lady's asking me all these questions, and I'm thinking, but Bonnie knew everything. And the last question she asked me was, where were you on April 23rd, 2013? I said, I don't even remember 2013. Bonnie opened her phone and said, you were in Warsaw, Poland, you were doing, I couldn't believe it. So finally I said to her, the lady, how did you even know about me? We're not anything, we're not a 501c3, we're not anything. How did you even know? She said, all those years earlier, I had begun the application process to become a nonprofit. They still had my application. It showed up one day when they were at the State Attorney General's office. So they got online. And she said, and there you were, Susan, all over the world, doing all this stuff, but you're not paying any taxes. I said, we're not making any money. We don't charge anything. The women get together and they buy our plane ticket, and then they let us stay in their home, and they feed us, and then we help them gather their grandmothers. And then somebody hears about that, and then we go to the next one. We have Indigenous grandmothers traveling in 2s and 4s all over the world. That's how we did it. That's how it works. That's what being a grandmother is. You open your mouth, and it ripples out and touches people that you would never even dream of being touched. So with that said, it's time for me to show you how this actually works. This shawl, White Buffalo Cow Society, back in the day, when it started to get like it is right now, heading toward winter, the grandmothers would go down to the river bottom, right? They would go down in wherever that is, South Dakota, I think is their area, would go down to the river bottom, and they would sing. And as they sang, the buffalo up on the plateau would hear their voices and come thundering down and run along the riverbank, heading straight at them. Straight at them. Now, the desire of their heart was that the young guys hiding behind rocks would shoot them with their arrows before they could squish the grandmother. That was the goal. But you know what? Did it matter? No. The grandmother was ready to do whatever it took to make sure that the tribe survived and the grandchildren ate. And that come spring, they were still there. So there's a wonderful book, I don't know if anybody's read it, called Two Old Women. Have you read it? It's the best book on the planet, isn't it? Two old women, and in that way of tribal doing, if you got old and you became a burden and now it was hard on everybody to have you there, you just walked away and laid down and went off to, I loved how you said that, went off, because there is no death, right? So these two old women had reached that point. They were heading, the tribe was heading to the summer grounds, and they said, we're gonna stay behind. It's time, we're done. So as the tribe took off, one of the old ladies laid down and curled up in the fetal position. And the other one poked her with her foot and said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm done, I'm finished. She said, I'm not, get up, we have stuff to do. Now the book says a little bit differently, it's a little more good, but it's the same thought. We're never done, right? We're not done till we're under the ground. Then we're done. But we're only done right here. We've gone on to go to the next place where we're going to do what we do. So in the end, and this is kind of the gist of the story, the tribe came back at the end of the summer from their fishing, hunting, berry picking grounds where they go. And they had a horrible summer. They had nothing. There was no food there for them. They came back prepared to have a terrible time. And they got back, and there it was. Their village was perfect. Repairs had been made over the summer. Things had been planted and harvested. All of their food caches were filled by those two old women who were happy and fit and buff. Because that's who the grandmothers are. That's what it's all about. So if you're young and you're not a grandmother yet, you have something wonderful to look forward to. It's gonna come, it's inevitable, and you're gonna love every minute of it, right, grandmothers? So now, we have a woman who I adore with all my heart, who is my goddaughter. And it's time for her to move through the doorway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna begin with a water blessing. I know she's sitting there waiting for me, but I had to do this because it's gonna be a big surprise. So we're gonna have her lead us out with the water blessing. I love to surprise. Great. It's like finding 5,000 people.
So now what do? I don't even have anything planned for this, but I'm so honored. And our water blessing is going to include all of you. It's going to include the river and the waters that we are all connected to around the world. I'm speechless at this moment. She did not tell me this was going to happen. And I want to explain to you some of the waters that we have here. And Professor Dan, if you could raise your hand way back in the last row. Dan Creeley is a firekeeper at Northeastern College. And he's been firekeeper of the fire there for 35 years. And he has had a multitude of elders, Indigenous elders from all over the world throughout those 35 years, including the late Jane Goodall, which we have some things I would like to share with you about that. But right here, he's got coal fires, coal bundles, and they are from the original fire. It's 800 years old that has been handed down in that way, in a ceremonial way, where they take the coal and you can add it to your fire at home or with the gathering and our mother's circle, grandmother's circle. And so you're welcome to come and get that. We have waters from the Kitchikibbe River. We have waters from Fox River that I collected. We have waters from 52 sacred sites around the world. And we have waters from St. Bridget's Well in Ireland. So we're bringing it all together. I'm an Irish woman, if you couldn't tell already. Both of my parents and older brothers and sisters were all born there. That I was the first one born here. And I really feel the Indigenous roots that connect us all, and the ceremonies that we've forgotten, and that we've just, been kind of pulled away from a little bit, but honoring the water inside of us, honoring the water of the river, and honoring the world together as grandmothers, as mothers, as goddaughters. And we're going to begin that. We're going to play a song, which is called the Algonquin Water Song. And we're going to put the words up on the screen, but you also have it printed on your paper there that you received. If you need one, please raise your hand, because we'd like you all oh, you can share? Okay, so nice, perfect. And yeah, there she goes. Because we'd like you all to join in and sing with us. It is, easy. And then we're going to pass around some of the water for you to put the blessing into as well.
Grandmother Nancy Andre, who is the grandmother, one of the grandmothers singing us and speaking, has beautiful sun hair. And she shared with me, she is albino Inuit. So when you see her, just think about that as you listen at the relationship of the grandmother to the children with the water as our connector. Remember,
This is one of my favorite little gifts to give. It looks so simple and elegant, and I love how happy.
Granddaughter, the water can hear you. The water has memory.
Nibi, Wabo, Endayan,
Water is the lifeblood of our Mother the Earth. Water is the lifeblood of our own body.
To continue to pass on the knowledge that needs to be given to the other generations. You are the keeper of the water.
To make the change in this life condition that we're in, that great grandchildren will stand up to this truth of what life is about and to live it in such an honorable way, the way ancestors came into this earth.
That when the sun rocks in, no matter how bad the day or might have been, there's a new chance for your hopes and dreams. And I said, Chimekwesh, thank you for singing the water song.
Don't lose those words because I'm coming back. And I'm going to gather the grandmothers together. And we're going to work together. And I may even bring Nancy with me, Grandmother Nancy, so that we can sing it again. Because when the time comes when you're ready, call me and I'll come back up here. Because our grandmothers have work to do. And it's really important that we do it because the children need us. And the moms need us and the dads need us. So are we good now? We're good now? Yes. I'd like to do one more thing before I turn it back to Kathleen. Kathleen, can you step up here, please? Do you know Sharon Day? Does anybody know her? Sharon Day is a grandmother. She's a water walker. And she walked the water from Lake Michigan down the Mississippi River. She got to my my area, and she asked me to come, and I walked it from Keokuk across the dam over to the Illinois side. Then she walked it all the way down to New Orleans. She's done that more than once. We're walking now all over the world. We're walking the water. The water walkers are so important because we're bringing a message to the rivers that we have not forgotten you, that we remember you. And guess what? They remember us. And as we walk and we carry that, so what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to offer Kathleen the opportunity to receive the initiation as a water walker. And then when you guys are ready, grandmothers, if you want to have your gathering, we can begin with that as well for each of you. And remember, you know, we call North America Turtle Island. We're aware of that. The original turtle was Pangea, the single continent. And that first turtle, the main artery of that turtle is the Mississippi River. It's still the main artery of North America. And that's where I live. So you guys have to come down there. But we're going to be doing a lot of work together. I know this. I've been praying for you ever since I had the opportunity to come up here. And it's time. And I've heard the story of the Fox River. And I know what's going on. And I know what the challenges are. But you know what? We don't have to focus on them. You know why? Because we're grandmothers. And it will happen that everything will go the way it should. Under the great law of peace given by the peacemaker to the Iroquois people. Remember what happened? It was given to Benjamin Franklin and some of the founding fathers, and through the Albany Congress, it kind of morphed its way into the Constitution, right? Am I right, Dan, how that worked? There are a couple things that those guys, not to be mean, decided to leave out, and one of them was the role of the grandmother. That the grandmother has the right and the responsibility to remove the chief when he's not acting in the best interest of the people. Some grandmothers definitely have work to do. So we go to the United Nations, we're part of the Commission on the Status of Women, we have all kinds of wonderful grandmothers for you guys to meet and get connected with because you're already part of the circle. So with Kathleen's permission, I'm going to initiate her now as a water walker. That will go on for each of you as the time comes. With this water, and how much of our bodies are made up of water? Isn't it like 97%? So with this water, these molecules of water connect us with each of us, right? From the doorway in with birth to the doorway out. We come in through the water, we leave through the water. And while we're here, the water makes us live and alive and happy, and it teaches us. So now here I am going to initiate you, Kathleen and Virginia, as a water carrier. Working with women around the world who are carrying the water now. Where they go, wherever they go. You take your water from your home, and we have waters from all those different countries, and you take them and you add them to the waters for wherever you're going and wherever you're walking. Bless your head that you might be clear in your mind and all the things that you're doing so that you can think and know what it is you're up to. I bless your shoulders and your back. You'll be strong enough to carry the burdens that come along with this responsibility. I bless your legs, your hips, all parts of your feet that they will always remember that. Kathleen, good join. Good group of people walking around. You are all around. Is your breath is the water? So now, the next piece will be when we do the grandmother initiation, and we'll do that with the grandmothers when we come back, okay? You want me to bless them?
Yes, I want to bless this water with each of our hearts connected in this moment. I want you to think of someone that you love in your heart. Let the water flow around your heart and be really conscious of your inner waters. And let the love flow into those waters. The love that you always are. the love that goes way out beyond your skin. And feel it leaving your body and spreading to everyone sitting next to you. Begin slowly by just the person to your left or to your right. And just sending that energetic love. And then through your row, and eventually to the entire room. And then having all of that energy of love and blessings and gratitude for the water flowing into this water, which contains water from the Fox River and the other waters I mentioned. And it's also going to return to the Fox River. When we're done here, we're going to place this back into the river and let it flow wherever it goes and wherever it touches. And for it to know that we recognize Earth, we recognize that we are Earth. It is not separate from us. We are not standing on it, we are part of it. And the song here is something that you can say with your own waters, and you have it now printed. You say it to the east first, so I'm going to do that. Nibi wabo and Diane, Aki whiskey, Nibi wabo, Eya, 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 Eya. This is east, lead, so we started there. And again, sending your blessings to the water, to the south, to summer, to the power and the light that you are, and the mercy that you are from within. Thanking you, water, for flowing and bringing us the light. And then turning to the west. This is to the earth, where we stand, feeling the gravity as arms holding us close. Feeling the way that the water flows to us. And then to the north. Nibi wabo and Diane, Aki whiskey. Nibi wabo, Eya, 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 Eya. I'm going to pour this water into this glass that's easier to pass, and I want to pass it around row by row. And as we're continuing the rest of the program with Grandmother Susan, I would love for you to put your intentions into this water and allow it to be a conduit for everything that you feel, the peace, the love, your intentions, and whatever you choose. And we're going to release that back into the river.
And before you do that, I just want to add one more thing. In our Hawaiian way, our breath is sacred. So when we say aloha, people say, oh, that means hello, goodbye, I love you. It does, but it means I greet you with the very breath and the essence of my life through my breath. It means I love you with every part of my being. And that ha is what says that wherever you go, when you leave here, is never a goodbye. So with that, I invite you as well. Just breathe your ha into the water. The molecules of water will recognize you. So just put that little in there, and then when Catherine takes it back to the Fox River, the Fox River is going to be so happy and say yes, yes. So with that, I'm going to have a little song. One of my heroes in this lifetime is Joanne Shenandoah. She's one of our Six Nations Native women. She sang beautiful songs. If you get a chance to go on and listen to her music. I had an opportunity on a call one day, a Zoom call with all these people. She was there and I asked her if she would mind if I sang to her. And I had written a song for her, not thinking I'd ever have the opportunity, but as a young single mom, when I was going through probably what might have been the hardest part of my life, her music kept me going, kept me believing in myself. So she said, yes, please. So I got to sing that to her. And she passed away very shortly after that. And I was so blessed to have been able to do that. So write your song, write it with the help of the water, sing it. When you sing your Niue song, go ahead and make your song too. It doesn't have to be perfect, does it? It doesn't have to be what anybody else thinks is great. It's what comes out of your heart that matters. And that is the awakening of the grandmother spirit. So, all right, so what we're going to do now, Kathleen, she's the brain. I have no brain anymore. I don't know where my brain lives. I think it might still be back in Nauvoo. We got up at 3:30. I'm a little goofy. We have a little video that we're bringing that I brought, that she put on for me to share with you. I think I'm going to begin with the little wolf and lead into that. So about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, we had a gathering at our house. And a man came down. He was at that time spiritual chief of the Blackfeet tribe up in Montana. And he came down, he brought his little boy and he brought his little granddaughter. They were right around the same age. The little boy was 8, she was 6. So while they were there, we were getting ready for our gathering, and a friend of ours was digging a new fire pit, a bigger fire pit, because we were gonna have a lot of people. So these 2 little children went and helped. And they would run around inside the sand, you know, as it was being dug out, and it was just really cool. And this little girl, her name was Heaven, and her mother had recently passed away, like within weeks. And she had moved in with her grandfather, the spiritual chief. And so this was really the first thing that they had ever done together outside of their little town, their area, the reservation. And so I didn't know that she was going to be leaving when she did, they had to go earlier. She came up to me and she said to me, she had a little pen with a unicorn on it. She said, Grandmother Susan, will you write my name on your arm? And I said, of course I will. I pulled out my sleeve and I started to write her name. And I said, why am I writing your name on my arm? And she said, because I never want you to forget me. And I said, really? Come here. And I took her out in the backyard, and I took her to that big fire pit, and I said, do you see all those little footprints in there? I said, they are yours. And there will never be anybody who comes here that I don't tell the story of Heaven. None of us will ever forget you. Every time that she would work, she'd have this little wolf. It would sit up on the log pile, or it'd be over here on a stump, or it would be over here on the steps to the gazebo. But it was always there. It was always keeping an eye on her. She put him everywhere she went so that he was always watching out for her. And when they left, early, unexpected, she left him on my pillow. So I never go anywhere without this little guy. His name is Heaven. So what we're going to do, because we are all connected, we are not as good as our memory, we're better. Because I don't know about yours, but mine's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. We are forever connected through the water. We are forever connected. And so I have a friend, his name is Janice Rose. He's 94 years old. He's in New York right now, but he got his PhD, I think it was in Ecuador. He's originally from Latvia. And he has a series that he put together years ago called The Genetic River. So I'm going to just show the little trailer from that series because I want to honor Jenny's rose, but I want to honor each of us, because we are all connected like the water.
Of everything that exists on the earth, the most improbable, the most intriguing phenomenon is human being. 7 billion humans today living on earth. We are forming a magnificent piece, a masterpiece of my own life. And all of them together form a masterpiece of humanity. There has been a long genetic river that has flown on the earth. What is its nature? What is its purpose? What has been our destiny? Where do we come from? Do we know everything that happened with us? Maybe there were some other reasons of our existence. Maybe we came from other stars. The moment that humanity appeared on the earth, there was also the human consciousness that has traveled. And they have traveled hand in hand. It started producing cultures, civilizations. So looking at the environment, each one of the over 6 billion people that are on the earth have participated in the great process in which the evolution continued. In every one of the human consciousness has been that invisible player that has given, so to say, the direction, the way where to go and what to do. At this moment, they are at cutting edge that produces the compilation of civilizations, of cultures, of knowledge. We are cutting edge of human consciousness, continued into the future, or that creates. We are going to explore everything that this magnificent genetic river has done and discover the meaning of us humans on Earth.
So another reason why I wanted you guys to meet Jenny's is that early on in my travels back and forth to the United Nations, we were at a reception one time with the grandmothers, and this very short, white-haired man came up to me and said in this very thick accent, "I am a grandmother." And I said, "Yes, you are." And he is. So it's not about gender, or it's not about even about age, like we were saying. It's about who we are in the world and how we affect and how the world affects us, because we are all connected to each other. So we were talking just a minute ago, because we're going to save some time at the end, because I really want to hear from each of you as well. There are some slides that I brought with me to share with you who some of the people are that we work with. And I'm going to have Kathleen begin. This is from one of our gatherings. As she was saying, we are doing number 5 in May, and you're all invited to come. May 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th in Nauvoo. And we have something that we're working on now. The eagle and the condor is the biggest, I guess, purpose for what we're doing. The first one was started by, I believe the first one was Adam Yellowbird, and it was way back around 2012 out in Arizona. And they were going to be doing this coming together of the eagle and condor, which are the tribes of the south and the tribes of the north. And they were going to be coming together in fulfillment of prophecy. Because the prophecy is, and you can look it up, that when the eagle and the condor dance, that's when the new world is going to begin. That's when the new things are going to be happening. That's when things are going to shift and change. And so our elders were all part of that. Everybody was really excited. And then somehow it went viral. And it became a media hailstorm. And all these people were coming. And the problem was that the prophecy said when the eagle and the condor danced, it would be on Hopi land. But the Hopis are very quiet. And they're very particular about what goes on there because they know that they are to hold this place sacred. So they shut down the mesas. And so now it was going to be impossible. So I wanted to go to that gathering. I even had one of the elders, Jacob Awati. He came with his helper and his sister to pick me up in Nauvoo. But I couldn't go because I didn't have the date, and I had promised and committed to help a woman who was having some problems to do her hamblecha in New Mexico. And that's 4 days. You sit in a little circle without food or water, and you fast. You fast and you pray, and we share that everything that comes into the circle, whether it's a bird or a bug or a dream, comes for a purpose and a reason. So you go into your 4-day fast, you hold that integrity, you come out a different person, always, because you have reunited with yourself. And so I had promised to be there with her, so as much as I wanted to be at the Eagle and Condor, I kept my promise. So I'm sitting on this mountaintop in New Mexico, and my phone rang. I didn't even know we had cell service. And I said hello, and it was Mona Palaka from the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. And she said, Susan, and she told me what happened. She said, we lost Jacob, where is he? I said, I don't know. I can't help you, I'm sitting on a mountaintop. And so she said, all right, I'll call you back. 2 days later, she called me back when I got off the mountain. And what had happened was that when the Hopi mesas closed, they started driving away all these tons of cars, and a handful had separated and ended up on a windswept mesa. They pulled into a circle, started to get out. Jacob Awati got out, carrying his eagle feather. Across from him, a man from South America got out and put on his condor wings. People picked up their drums, began drumming. The eagle and the condor danced, and as they did, Mona said, this pickup truck came flying across the desert, throwing sand. The guy jumped out and said, what's going on here? This is Hopi land. So it's changing. Now when you look, there are eagle and condor gatherings happening more and more frequently because we're getting closer to the fulfillment of that time. So in May, when you come, this will be our fifth gathering of the eagle and the condor. And we also call it the time of Ephraim and Manasseh, the coming together. It's the union of the mind and the heart. There's so many things that go along with that, so many teachings from all over the world that all come together. So the last one we had in 2023, when Kathleen was there, we had people from Greenland, from Australia, from New Zealand, from everywhere, Venezuela. We're now also peace ambassadors, myself and Lakota John, to the Argentinian Millenniums of Peace. So we'll have people coming up from there, from Panama, from Guatemala. They'll be coming from all over. And I really hope that you can come, because it's going to be beautiful. And this is my husband, Bradley. Brad Walking Bear is a direct descendant of Massasoit, who was one of the 2 chiefs that met the Mayflower. And Massasoit's son, Metacom, became known as King Philip because of the things that he was taken to England and schooled with some of the boys. And Bradley passed away on December 23rd. That's why I'm not wearing my regalia. I don't wear things, and I don't go into ceremony for 1 year. So at the end of this 1 year, then I'll be back and be able to do the things that I do. But for now, I'm in the snooze mode, where I'm holding that space for him so that he can move through into transition. So one of the things he did was shortly after he passed, he went to Peru. And I had 2 girlfriends there who were going for a pilgrimage. And so one woke up in that morning in a hotel, and she said to her sister, did you see Brad in a dream last night? And she said, I did. She goes, did he give you something metal? She said, he did. It was a silver medallion that said USMC. Brad was a Marine. So she said, well, what did he want? She said, because she saw him too. She said, he just said, please take care of my wife. So she said, I want you to know I got home yesterday from Peru. I went to my Schwab investment. I'm going to send you $500 a month for a year. If at the end of the year we're going to look at your finances and you still need more, we'll go another year. And I'm thinking, that Bradley, that is so cool. In the back of the room, there's a man back there wearing a shirt with green on it. He's the one that carried everything in for me. His name is Richard Mayhew. I didn't know him, he didn't know me. At the same time those women were getting that dream, he was down in Independence, Missouri, and he had a dream of a big, dark-skinned native guy who came to him and said, please take care of my wife. He had no idea what that was. 2 months later, he was talking to somebody and mentioned the dream, and they said, oh, that's Brad Stanton. His wife is Susan. So he came up with some people and met me, and I took him to the mounds, and I took him to the different places that we went to. He's been here for 8 months, taking care of me. He taught our raccoon. Somebody gave us a raccoon whose eyes weren't even open. He taught the raccoon how to pee and poop. It was great. Now we have a puppy in the car, he's taught her the same thing. He is absolutely priceless. So there is no D word, is there? It's only a changing of worlds. And they never leave us. They never abandon us. And the fun part is to find the messages for how they're actually getting through and sharing. And one of those main messages is the message from the water. How many of us have received phenomenal revelations standing under the shower? That's where I get my big ones. So it's all here for us. I brought some things to share. Let me check the time, because we do want to keep the half hour, right? So, just to show you that nothing is, I had no idea why I was bringing this. I still don't know why I brought it, but I got the feeling that I'm supposed to share this with you and tell you about it. You know that, what is in the air right now? A1, what is the name of that? Everybody's trying to decide if it's a ship or a, what is it? AI? Yeah, okay. So the Hopi have talked about the blue star. Are you familiar with that prophecy? Take a look at it because it's very interesting. And they say that the blue star has already been here 3 times, I believe. This is going to be the 4th. And if you look at that thing that's out there and read the prophecy, there's some things that are very interesting. So one time I had an opportunity, I went every year, excuse me, for 8 years, to a place behind Mount Taylor in the desert. And it was on Navajo land. And it's a very sacred place. I went with a group of people, and we didn't have potties, we didn't have anything fancy, but we'd stay for 4 days and do ceremony. So one year, they said to us, we're going to climb up Crystal Mountain. And I had no idea what they were talking about. Stop right there, that's the guy I'm about to talk about. See how weird is this? How weird is this? Okay. So they said, we're going to climb to the top of Crystal Mountain. And every year we'd go and I'd see that. And I'd say, well, what is that mountain over there? Oh, we never go there. No. But this one year, they said, we're going up there. So that happened to be the year I didn't feel like going up there. I didn't want to climb up some mountain. You know, I was busy. I'd been working, I was tired. So an older woman, which is getting fewer and farther between, said, I don't think I want to go up there. And I said, oh, I'm going to stay here and keep you company, honey. I don't want you to be alone. So I told everybody, I won't be going, I'm going to be taking care of Grandmother. So just as the last person starts up the mountain, she said, no, I changed my mind, I want to go. So I'm like, so we went over there, and as we're walking past Leon Secretero, and that's another name to look up, that you would love him. He's passed away now, but as we were going by him and another chief, I just said, I don't know if I can do this. And he said, you can do this. And the next thing I knew, we were at the top of Crystal Mountain. I don't remember climbing up at all. So when I got up there, The people that had gone ahead were already sitting in the crater, and it was filled with this fine, fine pumice ash, black ash. And at the end, they told us that we could take some, and we could use it to clean our crystals with, because that mountain is actually a huge crystal. And there's a beam there that shoots straight up into the sky. And years and years and years and years ago, a blue star had come and hovered over the top of that mountain. And for 3 days, there had been no darkness in that whole huge valley. Miles and miles and miles of valley, no darkness. And when it left, at the end of 3 days, the top of the mountain had been burned off, leaving behind the crater. So, how many of us live on sacred land? How many of us live at places that we're not sure of? Bill Holman with the crystal skull from Indiana Jones, he comes to my house. I love it when he comes, because he says all this cool stuff. Oh, the skull says this, and the skull says that. And the skull told him that underneath my house, there are caves, and I know that for a fact, because when we go to build our sweat lodges, we take our shoes off, we build the 13-pole Grandmother's Lodge, and then we build the men's mixed lodge. And when we do that, we take our shoes off and walk around, because we can feel the change in temperature in the grass that tells us where it is that we're to build the lodges. So there's all these ways that the earth is speaking to us. And the only thing we need to wonder about is, how am I listening? How am I doing at listening? And so everything is sacred. Our water is sacred. The different things that we have are sacred. So this man here, Glenn Aparicio Perry, he's phenomenal. He's a PhD from the School of Integrative Studies. I think that's the name of it in California. He's brilliant. He's one of the most intelligent people I ever met. He wrote a book. His first book was called Original Thinking. And it's all about the putting together of the indigenous thinking and experiences with what's going on in the Western model, right? So when you put those two together, what do they mean? So I had at COVID time a mother come to me and she said, my son is refusing to go to school. He said he never wants to go to school again, ever in his whole life. He doesn't care if he never learns anything. He was 11 and they wanted him to cut his hair and he didn't want to cut it. So I said, well, why don't you bring him over and let me see if he wants to come to my school. So I called the school and I talked to the lady there and I said, it's COVID, everything's up in the air. I'd like to keep him for the second semester of 5th grade. And I said, I'm not going to use a curriculum, just so you know, that he's already very intelligent. I am more concerned that he never wants to learn again. So she said, okay. So I had him with me. We took out Original Thinking. We read the first chapter, but before we started, I said to him, Liam, is there any such thing as an original thought? You would not have believed his answer. They know, they understand. We take that away from them when we disregard what they already know. So then he wrote Original Politics. And what would have happened had that original teachings of the Great Law of Peace remained with us today? And what if we use the indigenous thought patterns? And what if we use the values and all this and put them into our political system? What would that look like now? And then this one is just going to be published, I think, February 2nd. It's Original Love. Glenn and I were part of this group that would go up there in this valley and do the 8 years of ceremonies. I didn't know him at all at that time. This is like 4th year maybe. I was walking across the mesa to go back to my little tent, and this eagle, this huge eagle, flew, circled 3 times, dropped a feather, and it landed right at my feet. I was afraid to touch it. I felt like I had no business touching this feather. But I finally picked it up and I took it to the head woman, the daughter of Leon Secretary, And I said, I need to give this to you. And I told her what happened. She said, no, I'm not touching that. She said, that's yours. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? It's horrible. So I went back and I was really scared. I later heard that Glenn had been down in the valley where they have hundreds and hundreds of petroglyphs. He'd been down in the valley doing his ceremonies, and he came running up and went to the head woman and said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. I saw this huge eagle. It circled 3 times and it dropped a feather. And she said, yes, dropped it on Susan. So Glenn and I have been working together ever since. I never met anybody like him. You guys have got to read his books, and he'll be there at the gathering. He'll come and meet him. All these really cool people are going to be there. They're phenomenal. So we never know. Nothing is random, is it? Nothing. Nothing happens by mistake. Even horrible things. Even the very worst things in the whole world. Even the most painful, awful things have purpose and meaning. The key is to get ourselves right. In Hawaii, we call it pono. Making right. Getting into balance. And so we have ho'oponopono. And you may have heard about that. It's the way of saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry for anything that I may have done that brought us here together in a place where we're having a problem. Please forgive me, I never intended to hurt you. I did not intend for that to happen. Sorry, please forgive me. Thank you for allowing me to be able to express my apology, because I love you. And I want nothing in return other than for you to know how much I care. Ho'oponopono, you say it 3 times. It can clear the slate. You can find yourself without all of that resentment, anger, hurt feelings, jealousy. And you know what? I don't always have to do it just 3 times. Sometimes 300 times, but there's no limit. You just don't have to tell everybody it took 300 times. And then when you see the person again, and you're so loving and kind, and they think, wow, what happened to her? Because ho'oponopono is really about me. I don't need to carry that anger. None of us do. The water will help us. So Dr. Emoto, he almost came to Nauvoo. We got close, and then we heard that somebody was going to be not really happy because we were actually having him come to do away with the ammonium nitrate plant. And that would have gone well. Cold being what it is. But water knows more than any people, than any human beings. And water is life. Is life. So with that, we still have 5 more minutes, but I really want to see what you guys think. You're welcome to come up if you want to come and look at things, but Kathleen is going to take over now and see. Because she's a water carrier.
Thank you all for your patience with us. Thank you, Richard. And thank you for putting all, that was perfect timing. Thank you for putting all of your blessings into the water. I'll be going out right after this to deposit in the river. We have lots more slides, and I'll let them run. We'll have some time to talk with each other and have some snacks in the back of the room, some water and everything. And again, thank you to Elgin Garden Club, Delane, Jean, for all of the work that it's taken to get to this point. And thank you to all of you for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you mostly to Susan.
I'll tell you, I'm never quite finished. You know how that works, right? I got to tell you this one thing because we have to end on a really sacred note. So I'm here to share a story. Oddly enough, right? Once upon a time, and this is a true story. This is a Pima story. It comes from the Gila River Indian community, the Akama and the river people in the desert. Once upon a time, dogs could fly. And they were so happy to fly. They loved it. They'd go up in the air, and they'd love to go with their family, or even with their pack, and they'd fly around. And then one day, one of them figured out that if you take off your butt, you can do even more. You can flip, and you can do circles, and you can do all this stuff because you don't have that additional weight. So So they all started taking their butts off, and they would put them in a big pile right there by the edge of the mesquite trees. So one day they're up there and they're all flying around and they're doing all this stuff. And one of them went, "Oh no, Coyote's coming. He's heading straight for our pile. Hurry up, guys." So they flew down, started just thumping on any old butt. And that's why to this day, when two dogs meet for the first time, that is my Uncle Charlie's butt. That is not yours. Thank you.